All right, guys, welcome to week 4 of Don't Get Worked. I'm here with Michael, SmackDown Hotel. I'm here myself, Heart Foundation. We got decent reviews from all you guys. You guys seem to like it, so we're going to give it another shot this week. We're going to get into our quick hits just to start it off. Michael, what you got?
Probably for my first quick hit, it'd probably be just a down week for wide receivers in general. Running backs kind of stole the show along with a few quarterbacks, but wide receiver play down in general. I mean, yeah, your leading scorer this week was Travis Kelce with like 17 points. I believe DeAndre Hopkins had a decent week. Tyrell Williams, they both had about 16 points this week. But just a down week in general for wide receivers. Nobody to score over 20 points in the whole week is pretty low. So that'd be my quick hit. Would be down week for wide receivers in general.
Yeah, it's definitely a running back week this week. So my first quick hit is the Carr and Mariota injuries. Same as last year, different injuries, but for some reason they like to get injured on the same day. I don't know if there's some conspiracy going on in the NFL.
Both of them go down. Mariota day to day with a hamstring injury.
And
Carr out. They
weeks.
say 2 to 6 weeks with a fractured spine. Which when you wouldn't you take the ladder of the injury? You're 2 to 6 weeks on a fractured spine. I bet Raider fans are like, yeah, we'll get Carr back in 2 weeks and be fine. But they have like a disastrous schedule coming up with like a bye week. I can't see them making the playoffs, let alone like that hitting that 10.5, 11 game over under that they were pushing for.
Yeah.
My second quick hit easily is Greg Zuerlein outscoring every wide receiver, tight end on the board outside of like 3 or 4 running backs. He outscored every position player.
Did anybody play him?
No, actually, Manny had him on his bench because Manny's going to play Tucker every week. It's just Tucker's his boy, so he's going to play him every week. And Zuerlein went 7 for 7 and scored 26 fantasy points. So, I mean, I think he left, leaving 26 points on the bench. He probably lost because of that.
That's Greg the Leg. Yeah. All right, and my last quick hit is the Chiefs being the only undefeated teams. We're only 4 weeks in. We are down to 1 undefeated team after Atlanta went down. The Chiefs pulled it off on Monday night. And looking at the Chiefs so far, I mean, Kareem Hunt being definitely the fantasy MVP so far, and then Alex Smith, candidate probably for NFL MVP right now, the way that they're playing. So definitely at this point of the season, it's surprising to only see 1 undefeated team left.
Yeah, 4 weeks in, only to see 1 undefeated team.
And yet alone it being the Chiefs.
Yeah, probably from the hardest division in football.
Going in, yeah.
Okay, let's get right into the standings. Let's jump right into it. Vinny and Johnny still leading the standings up at the top at 4-0. Vinny has more total points with 416, which is the second highest in the league. Then we got some 3-1 teams. Drew taking a 3-win streak, pushing him up to 3rd. Actually, Kevin with a 3-win streak, pushing him up to 4th. Renee's in there at 3-1 with a very low point total. I believe he has the 12th most points in the league, so he's getting some lucky wins and wasn't so lucky this week. So then we got the 2-2 teams, 6th through 9th, X-Blade, SmackDown Hotel, Nation of Domination, Legion of Doom, and then the 1-3 teams, Jabroni Drive, Heart Foundation, and DX both pick up their first wins, and then NWO and Banger Swell Team rounding up the bottom, both still at 0-4. So those are the standings. Like I said, Vinny and Johnny still undefeated. Then we have the 2 defeated teams with Jaime and Esteban. So
8 teams make it, so there's still a lot of room, still a long season. So it's pretty easy to jump up. I mean, we're at 2-2 right now is the 8th spot, so could easily see some big changes next week. So let's get into the first matchup of last week. That'd be Rendog versus the People's Elbow. Ooh, newly named Mex People's Elbow. That's Vinny's team, right?
Yeah, I don't. Do you not understand the Mex, or is that just like the Mexican version of the People's Elbow?
I guess I don't know.
Was this our game of the week going into? Yeah, this was our game of the week going into it. Okay, so game of the week going into it. Both undefeated. Both projected high scores. Both projected a very close game. But Vinny takes it 95-70, man, and that's going to push Vinny to 4-0, and and into first place still. That's going to be his second week in first place. He rode Todd Gurley again, man. Second only to Le'Veon this week in points with 27.5. He had a good switch from Stafford to Wentz, being able to use those two guys accordingly. And he go ahead and he pushes Renee to fifth place, which he's hanging on to fifth place because of his 3-1 record. Definitely not because of his points. His squad hasn't shown up.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was up there as one of the undefeated teams last week, but you can see he went from, I believe, third, dropped to fifth real fast on 3-1, but he's the lowest scoring out of the 3-1. So it's just that he had some good matchups in the first 3 weeks, but it's fantasy football. I mean, you don't have to score a ton of points, but it can hurt you if you don't get the right matchup.
Yeah, outside of Terrell Pryor, he didn't have, Carson Palmer, but he didn't have a skill position player score a touchdown. I think he had 8 out of 9 players underperformed. While on Vinny's team, everybody did about their job. I mean, Todd Gurley outperformed, but still everybody else pretty much did their job on Vinny's team.
Vinny's got a solid team right now, and I can see why he's 4-0.
Yeah, and Alan Hearns actually came in and looked like he might have surpassed Marcus Lee for that number 1 receiving spot in Jacksonville. Looks like it's going to be a bounce back.
I feel like it keeps going back and forth every week. One will have a good week, and they'll say that's the number 1 guy in Jacksonville, and then they'll keep flip-flopping. Hearns seems like more of the touchdown catcher for the team. He's going to get the TDs. Marcus Lee seems like they're trying to get him involved in other aspects of the offense, but I still think it's 100% Fournette in that offense right now. So I honestly wouldn't want to touch.
Fournette probably. I mean, I know Dalvin Cook goes down with the ACL injury, and we'll get to that when we get to Mondo's team. But Fournette, man, he's looking good. Like, they just feed him the rock.
He's a grown ass man.
He really is.
Man. The dude is a bruiser, and he's, which he didn't do in college. He's catching the ball out of the backfield too, which is impressive. But we'll get to him when we see. I'm not sure whose team he's on right now, but.
He's on Joe Vaughn's team, so we'll get to him when we get to Joe Vaughn's team.
But over on Renee's team, I mean, he had Montgomery go down with the injury. He started out hot, but apparently it happened on the first carry of the game, and he stayed in. He got 5 carries, 28 yards, but then couldn't handle it after that. Michael, you have anything to say about the
Well, this is like the week of the rib injury. I've seen like multiple people go down with the rib injury, and I really don't understand it because it's like there's unwritten rules in football like there are in every sport. And one of them being a rib injury is you don't disclose your rib injury. You get your cortisone shot and you put a flak jacket on and you go back in. Yeah. Like, that's the rib injury in football. You can't. There's nothing to fix it right away. Mm-hmm. So you get your cortisone shot and you get back into the game. So I don't like the fact that they even announced him having a rib injury, like, let alone not letting him come back or holding him out. Like, that's an injury that he needs to play through.
Yeah, I mean, he has Odell, and Odell's starting to look better now that he's getting healthy, even though he was kind of in and out of the game with random-ass injuries.
He dislocated his finger, and then they popped it back in.
Yeah, I love that they're showing that. I bet that happens to an offense and defensive lineman like 3 times a game. And
yeah,
they don't
he's
show
a wide receiver. He catches the ball.
He's fine. It was a little weird. And Renee's throwing out 2 tight ends, rolling out 2 tight ends this week, too. So, that was a tough ask, but Zach Ernst is a target monster right now. But, it's still a good team. He's 3-1, so can't complain.
Yeah, and everybody's chasing Vinny. All right, to the next matchup, man, was the Legion of Doom getting the most unexpected and lopsided win of the week. This was the biggest point spread of the week at 25 points, and he ended up winning by 38. So it's a 63-point turnaround when it comes to scoring points. That's going to go ahead and give Panda a 2-win streak and push him all the way up to 9th place, and that's going to drop Manny 2 in a row, I believe, and down to 8th place.
Yeah, over on Panda's side, I love even with Mariota going down, he was able to get 2 rushing TDs, even with his, I believe, 2 interceptions. That's what you hope out of Mariota. He's the running quarterback. He has that ability, so that's big to still give him a good week. The Amir Abdullah, he finally showed up.
He had his best career game.
I was big on him at the start of the season because it was finally, they felt like, even with Riddick, that Abdullah was going to be the guy. They want to go to a rushing offense. They want to phase that way, which you can see because Stafford isn't throwing the ball as much as normally in the past where he's throwing the ball 50 times a game. He's been
it's because they're more of a complete team.
They are more of a complete team. They have a good defense. They're trying to take the ball out of Stafford's hand, and I've been hoping that Abdullah would have a game like this, and he finally did. And so I'm happy to see that.
No, it seemed like Panda he made all the right plays this week.
Yeah.
Getting Alvin Kamara,
Mm.
and he's going off,
Big
and
play.
he's just a target machine too. 10 receptions, 70 yards. Has gone to the end zone. He's the only Saints running back to get into the end zone this year.
Yeah.
He's done it multiple times. Kelsey back from a stinker last week with a big game. Tevin Coleman with a good overall game, and like you said, Mariota getting 2 on the ground after throwing 2 picks, saved his game.
And then even the big defensive day, even with a loss, Jacksonville somehow lost against the Jets, but they did have that like 90-yard fumble recovery by Miles Jack.
And that day from Travis Kelce was so important. It outscored all Manny's wide receivers combined.
Yeah.
He had Tyreek Hill, Antonio Brown, Kenny Stills, and Rashard Matthews all score a total of less than 13, 14 points.
And this is the team that we say is going to have the most projected points every single week because he has the Brady, Zeke, and Antonio combo with Tyreek Hill. But they didn't show up besides Zeke, and it all happened in the first 2 quarters with Zeke too. The first half he got all his touchdowns, everything, but then the Rams just
they stuck with him, and it became another Dak Prescott second half game where it's kind of we're going to play on the heels of Dak having to chase what Jared Goff's doing on the other side.
Yeah. Finally seemed like the first time that someone was really taking advantage of that Dallas defense. They've kind of been hanging in there, but it seems like it took Jared Goff as the one to start finally light up that defense that is really suspect with Dallas.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of Manny's team, he was the guy who I think he left Bilal Powell on the bench, who had I think 27 points.
He had that 75-yard maybe touchdown where he fell then got back up.
Yeah, and then also the 26 points from Zerline from the kicker. So he possibly could have. I think he could have won or pushed close for victory. But like you were pointing out earlier, how Manny's gonna have the highest projection. That means every loss that he's going to have is going to come in upset fashion.
Yeah.
And so both of his losses coming in upset fashion, and then Panda, both of his wins also coming in upset fashion, where he was projected not to really be in the game.
And then,
so that just shows you how fantasy works. Everything is like so different from week to week. You have guys on the studs list one week, boom, right to the duds list the next week.
Yep.
So Manny has a good chance though to maybe give Vinny his first loss next week. So we'll see what happens with that. And into our next matchup was the battle for a win.
Yes.
You want to start it off?
So this is me
you
versus
were able
Jaime.
to grab your first win.
Both 0-3 going into this game. I'll go down my team first. I've finally Cousins has been stepping up the last couple weeks, so I was confident with him against KC, and he actually could have had more. Ryan Grant can catch the ball in the end zone, which I believe is Ryan Grant. But it's been tough with my running backs with Crowell and Murray. I don't know what is going on with Cleveland with Crowell. He was really hyped in the beginning of the year, and I don't think he scored over 3 or 4 points this year. And then Murray's also been struggling in that Tennessee offense. They haven't been able to run the ball much. But Jordy Nelson's been saving me. He gave me a quick 2 touchdowns on Thursday night, so I know Jaime probably got down right after that. There wasn't much else on my team. Garcon put in a... Nope, Garcon didn't. Jaquiz put in a good day for me with 10 points.
And now with Doug Martin coming back, that might be...
Yeah, so that's where I'm struggling right now is I know Jaquiz was only a filler for a couple weeks, so I still got some maneuvering to do, but I was happy to put up 90 points, which is a good score in this 14-team league. But over on
Jaime's side, losing by 10 points or 11 points overall, and he's only scored 79 points, which is actually, I believe, it's his highest score of the year so far.
I mean, he pulled 28 points from Manning.
Well, if you had the 28 points from Eli and the 15 points from Fuller to go along with 10 points from Gano,
you think you could have.
But then look at all the skill position players. 1 point from Marshawn, 4 points from Cohen, 3 from Julio, which has just got to be frustrating because he's with all that talent and just seeing him keep leaving the field with his hip injury. That's your number 1 draft pick. Anybody who has Julio is got to be hurting right now. He jumped on the Marquise Lee bandwagon. That he had a dud.
Yeah.
And Will Fuller honestly saved his receiving core and his skill players.
Definitely.
I mean, they don't even score 10 points combined. So it's got to be very frustrating for Jaime. I know, and Jaime's not the type of guy who's going to throw in the towel, and we all know that he's going to be on the waiver wire more than anybody.
He was already on the waiver wire. I saw.
He's all over. Well, I guarantee it's like the moment that waivers clear, the first 3-4 moves are going to be made by Jaime. Like if you want a guy after waivers clear, you better be ready at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. for when they clear, because Jaime's jumping on whoever was not claimed.
Yeah.
But that's gonna push him to 0-4. He's down at the bottom, in 13th place. So he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, it's not tilt time yet, but it's getting there. And for those 0-4 teams, I'm glad to be on the win train though. So appreciate it, Jaime.
We'll move on to the next. So after you were able to pick up your first win, we go straight to another game where we had another player trying to pick up his first win. And that's gonna be Banger's Swell team. So we have a former champion now down at 0-4. At the bottom of the cellar, last in points. He's going to drop a 24-point game to Drew this week, and his team just wildly underperformed, and they've actually underachieved every game this season. He's one of the few teams that him and Jovan, their two teams have actually underperformed their projected score every week, and Jaime might be in that mix too because his team had yet to score 80. So his team is just drastically underachieving, and now he's going to lose Carr. So, what do you think about Banger's upside? Does he have anything going in at all?
I mean, he has these players. His projections are so high, and I'm always hit and miss with these Yahoo projections. They're usually pretty off, but Jordan Howard going in projected 13 points, and Michael Thomas projected 13 points, and those are a couple guys. Howard's hit once, but he's finally starting to pick it up. It seems like he's the bell cow. They're back to giving him the ball, showing what he did last year. Michael Thomas is starting to get really more involved as this New Orleans offense is starting to come back together.
Kelvin
Benjamin with Cam Newton. It's all been more of Cam than Kelvin. He's been struggling, but it was against New England. Yeah, Funchess got the big points, but he was still able to get 104 yards out of it. So, and Devontae Parker, it's another guy that everyone is really high on. He just hasn't hit big yet with Jay Cutler throwing the ball. That offense right now, I don't know what they were doing in London, but overall, it's a solid team. And he was on that Chris Thompson train that he was the big pickup of the week. He was the big stud of last week. But I don't know that backfield. He's not going to be getting all the carries. So it just all depends on game script if Thompson's going to be getting the catches out of the backfield.
and how the game script is going.
Yeah. So other than I know Derek Carr out, it is a solid team.
He does have Tyrod Taylor on the bench.
Yeah, which is.
So it's not like he's going to go down to the bottom looking for a bottom of the cellar quarterback like Case Keenum or something like that. He's going to be able to play Tyrod Taylor, but you got to think Derek Carr is going to be out for a while. And it might be a blessing in disguise. I mean, possibly he could be 0-4 because Derek Carr hasn't done shit all season.
Yeah.
He hasn't, I would have to go back and we'd have to look at previous weeks, but there's a possibility that if he lost a close game, it would probably be because of Derek Carr. So maybe this injury didn't come soon enough for his fantasy team. I know it's not soon. I mean, I know it's bad for the Raiders in general, but it might be the best thing for Esteban's fantasy team.
It's weird with Tyrod Taylor. He's one of those guys that no one ever really talks about as a top performer, but the guy's finished in top 12 QBs the last 3 years in a row. He's a really solid QB to have in fantasy. He might not be the best QB for your NFL team, but fantasy-wise, he's going to get you more consistent and solid points every week. So, like I said, it might be a blessing in disguise to get him in that lineup, which I believe is a good lineup. To be 0-4 and with that low scoring that he's had so far is tough when you look at this lineup, and it is a good lineup. It is a good – you can be 0-4 and have really low points, but you look at your team and it's shit, and you understand why, but it kind of sucks when you do have a good team.
All right, over on Drew's side, this is Drew's third win in a row, so he's rolling right now. And he actually was rolling on the back of a rookie this week who just put up the best game of the week, 34.72 points, man. Guy had 5 total touchdowns.
The guy was projected 13.
And he hooked up with his counterpart. I mean, he's got his Texan stack right there with DeAndre Hopkins. So he put up 50 points. I mean, that's half of your points. I mean, if you get a huge day out of your quarterback and you can stack him up with the receiver that benefits from that quarterback's huge day, you're going to be looking pretty. McCoy, man, he's
going to get you 10 points every week until he finally gets
into the end zone.
He's going to get you 10 points because he's going to get 50 on the ground or 40 or 50 on the ground and 40 and 50 in the air. It's just he's just struggling to get in the end zone yet, but.
Okay, then he gets zeros out of Gabriel and pretty much Watkins too. Watkins only had a point. Duke Johnson, 3 straight games in a row that he's outperformed his projection.
Yeah.
You are the Isaiah Crowell owner.
Yeah.
Drew's here with Duke Johnson. How frustrating is it to just literally, you're watching Duke Johnson because of game script and because Isaiah can't catch the ball in today's NFL, when you have a running back that can't catch the ball.
It's just starting to seem like that Crowell maybe isn't, like, it just seemed like he was talented and he was this type of runner, but just maybe it's more Duke Johnson than as the Crowell owner I want to see. And again, I think it's more game script with Cleveland too. They don't have the ability to just pound the ball like I know they want to. So Duke Johnson has to be in there to give you that outlet in the passing game. They're gonna have to keep passing the ball. And with Kaiser moving around and running around back there, that Johnson's going to be the better player back there. And can you the Sammy Watkins, back to that, we race over that. The score in the high scoring game and Sammy Watkins only gets 1.7 points. What is that about?
I think that's just like the LA Rams offense, that it's going to be Goff and Gurley, but it's going to be a different guy. Like, it was Robert Woods looked like he might have been the best guy. And then Sammy Watkins had that huge game. And now Cooper Kupp is probably their most consistent guy.
Well, that was like previous game before that when Watkins went off that crazy game the week before on Thursday night. Cooper Kupp only had like 2 catches for like 18 yards.
So Sean McVay, I don't think it's like we're targeting one wide receiver. We have a game plan. It doesn't matter who's in the X, who's at the Y. This is how we're going to do it. It's going to be in Jared Goff's hands, and Gurley is going to be the guy who they're looking to get majority of the touches out of the backfield too. I mean, he's became such a receiving threat. He had an angle route, right past the Cowboy linebackers.
I didn't think it was him. Like, I saw it and I was like, what receiver is that? Because he was running like a real receiving route. It wasn't just like out of the backfield.
No, and it was a great play call. I think it was like they faked that motion to Tavon Austin and caught Gurley coming across the middle. So, I mean, I enjoy watching Sean McVay call a game and Jared Goff showing, number 1 pick potential and making all the throws that you hope the quarterback.
We'll be able to see here soon the next coming weeks because the Rams have a hell of a schedule coming up here against some real top defenses, and let's see what they can do. I'm excited to see it.
Okay, and then opinion: stock up, stock down, Joe Mixon.
I'm still stock up.
I'm stock up too.
The stock up. The carries are finally there. He's obviously the most talented player on the team or running back on the team. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and it looks like they are giving him options out of the backfield rather than just bringing Gio in every time and just giving away your play. But, on the rise.
On the rise.
It's going to get better.
Okay. Yeah, I like Joe Mixon, too.
Yeah.
All right, so Drew's rolling. Let's go ahead and get to the next matchup. That's going to be also another team who's rolling, which is Kevin's team, putting up 102 points this week on me. I only put up 77 points, so 2 bad weeks in a row for me. Kevin took this one and pretty much he had monster days from a few players and then duds from half the team. But when my team, I got 7 out of 9 guys who don't hit projection and are underachieved. I had no chance.
Yeah, so Russell Wilson balls out for the 2nd week in a row as one of the top performers with 30 points.
Yeah, back-to-back huge weeks.
Huge games.
Back-to-back huge weeks. He's put up over 60 points in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Then he's got Lamar Miller, who, watching that Texans offense with Deshaun Watson running all those read options, but they're doing like the speed option, like options that you usually don't see, I feel like, in the NFL with Lamar, and Lamar looked good in it. So
what changed, though? Because it was literally just a week ago that they were like, maybe it's going to be Deontay Foreman, going forward.
I think it was just another week with Watson, and the more confidence he gained, they were able to open the playbook more. Playbook got bigger, and Miller is much better of a running back in that type of offense. He's much more agile and explosive than Foreman. Foreman's just stronger and more of a head-down runner. So I just feel like Miller just fit that type of game script better. But I still think going forward that Foreman's still going to be involved.
Yeah, I'm not a Miller fan. I don't I don't like his style of gameplay.
Miller's the type of guy though that like everyone was excited when he went to Houston because he was going to be getting more carries, but he succeeds when he has less carries. He's a better guy when he has that more of that like 15 carry range, rather so than a big heavy workload.
Okay, so after the Miller big game and the Russell big game, he actually, I think probably one of the plays of the week was his Andre Ellington.
Oh yeah.
Only projected, 6 point. Yeah, we had a touchdown, probably stolen away from him, but 10 points to beat every one of his other skill position players. He threw Shepard, Snead, and Cooper at me for a total of 6 points.
Snead didn't even play. Up. Yeah, he didn't suit up. I don't know what Kevin was paying attention to, but he's still 3-1. And then Cooper, at this point, you gotta sit him? What do you do with Cooper?
You can drop him, honestly. I don't even like if you're keeping him now and playing him now. It's like you have no Derek Carr. You have EJ Manuel against a tough schedule coming up and a bye week coming up. I think they have 3 of the top 5 defenses coming up with a bye week. If you're relying on any Raider players right now, I think you're in trouble because you're basically keeping on your roster because of name and
he's on your roster. How do you not start him? So you drop him, someone's obviously going to pick him up, and then that person is going to have to start.
I think it was a tough decision while Carr was there, but now that Carr is out, I don't even think that he's
even though EJ Manuel looked pretty serviceable in the ending of that game against Denver.
Yeah, now let's give a defense a whole week to prepare for EJ Manuel and get old and throw everything but the kitchen sink at him. I don't. If you think that EJ Manuel can succeed and do better than Carr, feed the receivers better, then we have definitely different opinions on that.
Yeah, and over on your side, I know you texted me and complained about Rivers, but right after that he threw like a 75-yard touchdown. But
that guy's crazy.
He is crazy.
He's crazy. Did you see him? He took his helmet off, or he's yelling at his the guy
in the helmet.
In the helmet, he's yelling at him, and then he took his helmet off and continued to yell in it. That was like the best part of my day.
He's wild, man. Dude's got 8 kids. He's crazy.
Okay, and then going down the list, Kareem Hunt, still another consistent day. Didn't get into the end zone.
Should have. Alex Smith stole that touchdown.
Jay Ajayi, man, another bad game. I'm not gonna not play the guy. I think those are his 2 worst games of the year. I gotta see that the Miami Dolphins offense is gonna get better. Am I crazy to think that?
No, I'm on the same train as I'm big on Parker in another league. I think that offense is eventually. The only thing with Ajayi I'm worried about is his health, but that's knee. Whatever his knee.
It's like the same thing with Melvin Gordon.
If they've been downplaying it, or I don't know. I did see how pissed he was on the sideline every single time they brought in Drake. They kept bringing him in, and Ajayi was like pissed on the sideline. And I don't know if it's just because they knew the game was pretty much like out of hand at that point, or what, but. You got to keep putting them out there.
Dude, I think me and Alex, we drafted right next to each other in position. And he took Melvin Gordon, which led me to getting Ajayi. I wanted Gordon, but either way, I was like, okay, they're going to have pretty similar value. And both of them, it's like Gordon got in the end zone a couple times at the beginning, but these 2 guys are first-round draft picks, and they are not showing up for fantasy teams at all.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was able to grab Kareem Hunt later, and he's holding up my running back core.
Yeah, Jesus.
I sent Crabtree to the bench. He got hurt, replaced him with Chris Hogan. Chris Hogan had a good day.
With the end zone. Fitzgerald got a late touchdown.
I like Fitzgerald and Dez, though. They're getting high targets. So
just Fitzgerald's not getting the amount of catches you'd think because Carson can't freaking throw the ball.
And actually, this will be the last week that you will see James White and Hogan on my team. There had been a trade made.
Oh, yep.
So I traded away Chris Hogan and James White to Mondo.
New England.
Yeah, another New England Patriot. So it was an all New England trade. I acquired Gronkowski. Mondo he got decimated by running backs. Trading away Cohen last week and then losing Dalvin Cook this week.
Yeah,
put himself in a bad position and definitely had to. He said he was searching everywhere for running backs. Yeah, my team completely laid a fart this week. I don't expect everybody to kind of shit the bed like that. My defense got 57 points hung on them. So I'm surprised they didn't get negative points. When I saw only 0 points, I was actually surprised. I was like, wow, what? They didn't get negative?
Yeah.
Now let's go on to the next matchup, though. This was our highest scoring game of the week.
X-Blades versus Heartbreak Kids, Johnny versus Mondo.
Yeah, this was our highest scoring game
Johnny,
of the
the
week.
other undefeated team.
Yeah, and he's barely right behind Vinny in
Yeah.
points. So they are like literally neck and neck. So Johnny's going to go ahead and remain in second place. Huge day out of his core two guys. You bring it up last week. When you look at Rogers and Bell, and you're the other team, that scares the hell out of you. You are hoping that you get one of them on a down week, because if both of them produce, you better hope the other people on his team don't show up.
With Le'Veon finally hitting his stride. And
35 carries, 4 receptions. The guy
but those carries have been there all season. It's just finally
he almost touched the ball 40 times this week.
Jesus, man.
Also, great play with Tyrell Williams this week.
Yeah, got the long touchdown.
Yeah, long touchdown. 115 yards and receiving touchdown was actually made him a top 5 wide receiver of the day. Top defense of the day. Seattle D just dominated that second half of the game.
Yeah, first half was surprising.
Yeah, but God, that second half was ugly. Seattle they just beat Brissett up.
And even with a couple late eggs with Golden Tate and Adam Thielen, I believe Adam Thielen, he had a fumble, right? And I think he got a little banged up too, but
yeah, he did have a fumble.
And he lost Chris Carson. Too.
Chris Carson did, and that was we were talking about one of our possible ads of the week.
Yeah.
I don't have his bench here in front, but if I don't know if he's going to have to go straight to the waiver wire to pick somebody up, because we do have bye weeks coming up too, so that's going to really start affecting rosters, and we said it before, but now extending to 14 teams, it's even slimmer pickings on bye weeks.
You're going to see a lot of interesting plays, a lot of just hope someone falls into the end zone, couple vultures, because those are going to be the type of running back wise you're going to see played, because wide receivers are just a plethora of them, but running backs are really slim pickings.
Yeah, but Williams held Johnny's receiving core up. Jeffrey, another guy he's solely based on touchdown production, but he got one this week. Golden Tate's worst week, Thielem's worst week, but he had 3 players score about 20 points, or 4 players score about 20 or more points.
That's enough to put it's going to be 115 is one hell of a score in this league.
One hell of a score. And even 95 on the other side. And Mondo was projected, he was like in matchup heaven, 109 points. His first week with Drew Brees, undervalued. I guess he was a little bit under his production. Kind of an easy game script win in Miami. He didn't get the chance to really blow it up.
These London games are just,
I hate them.
Teams are going in almost so down, and I heard that I know New Orleans was there pretty early because Drew Brees was at some soccer games and stuff, but Miami went there Friday. They went there Friday, and then had one night, 2 nights to adjust, and then had a game early Sunday. It's crazy. They're not preparing for it, and they're not looking forward to it as a team. So those London games, I'm getting to the point where I almost don't want to play players there unless they play for Jacksonville.
Wasn't there only 2 a year, or are we?
There's a third one now.
Oh, there's a third one, so there's still one more game there.
And then Oakland gets to go play in Mexico City.
Then I'm sorry, Mondo, but we do get to dwell on the Dalvin Cook complete torn knee injury.
These rookies were taking over the NFL, and to have this one
was
go
hard
down.
to watch. It was hard to watch the injury happen, the way that he hopped, grabbed his knee, dropped the ball, got hit. Oh, man. So now Mondo's going to have to move to C.J. Anderson, which is a viable running back, but he was a very strong RB2 for Mondo. Now moves into an RB1 role where he might not be in every week. RB1.
I gained a lot of confidence in Anderson because the week before everyone was talking about how good Jamal Charles looked, which he does. He looks healthy and good again, averaging 5 yards a carry. But
he's done that his whole career.
Yeah, everyone thought that he's getting more and more because he did one week just because of kind of game script and he got the touchdown. But then this last week they went right back to giving Anderson a huge workload, and he had a lot of receiving out of the backfield. So I am more confident in C.J. Anderson as a borderline running back 1. So to have an injury to Dalvin Cook, it is nice to still have Anderson to lean back on.
Mondo is definitely feeling comfortable with him as his RB2, being able to
it's a very
with Dalvin
nice
Cook.
one too. That's
So
why
now,
he was giving away Cohen.
Yeah, he was able. He gave away Cohen last week,
Well,
so
not
now
gave
he's
away.
got
He got Breeze in return. It's not giving it away.
Yeah, well, I mean, but now it's when you lose Cook, and now he's looking at 2 of his top 3 running backs now that he acquired White are going to be Gillislee and White.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's going to be running 2 New England running backs out per week or playing them based on game script too. It's going to be interesting to see what Mondo does. He still has studs and Diggs and Evans. Evans going to have a great matchup this week against New England. So we'll see how Mondo kind of comes back from that Dalvin Cook injury. He's in 6th place. He actually leads the whole league in points.
Oh wow.
He's got.
He's one of the higher projected every week.
Yeah, now it's gonna be a little bit lower with Dalvin Cook out.
Yeah.
But he's leading the league in points, right ahead of Vinny, I believe, and then myself and Johnny. So Mondo, keep on pushing, man. Your matchups, just a couple. He lost to me the first week when he scored over 115, and then he loses this week scoring 95. So 2 tough losses for Mondo. He could easily be 4 in a row.
All right, move on to, I believe, our last matchup, which is Jabroni Drive, Javon versus DX, and that's Alex. Lower scoring game, had a pretty difference in projections, but DX was able to pull off the win by. This is one of our closer games. It seemed like most of the games were decided by a pretty large margin.
This was our closest game.
Was this our closest game? I know mine was 11 or 12, so it was pretty close. But this is one of the closest games of the week. So there hasn't been any real nail biters. But overall on DX's side, Cam Newton finally showed up. I know it's against New England, which is the new
worst
defense you want to play. But he did it all aspects that you expect from Cam, doing it on the ground and doing it in the air.
Yeah, so Alex, he finds his first win. We were talking last week, man. You're 0-3. You just got to find your way to get yourself on the board, because now you can just go chop off 2 in a row, 3 in a row, hopefully, or 3 out of 4, and get back up to that 500 area. And you're right. Now he did it on the back of Cam Newton, who we have put multiple times he's the dud of the week, gets to go up against New England, 4 touchdowns, 315 yards passing is what really blows my mind, because Cam just doesn't have 300 yards.
He's not a 300-yard game. No, he's a 2 to 250 guy with giving you the extra points on the ground. But down the line, it's on the back of Cam. Stewart didn't do too much. He got a fumble too. As we were talking earlier about Melvin Gordon, we don't know how serious this knee injury is. It's having him in and out. It seems like they're giving more to Brandon Oliver. A dud by Emmanuel Sanders, which is one of the ones I was going in one of my other leagues playing against Sanders. I was really afraid to play Sanders.
We don't talk about other leagues here.
Oh, sorry.
We don't talk about other leagues here.
I was afraid, as any player going against Sanders, the way he's been playing recently, seems to be getting a lot of high targets from Simeon. Mike Wallace got in the end zone for him. That was his only other high score besides his kicker. But he's still able to pull off the win, which is all that matters.
You know what happens in this kind of matchup? This shows you how important matchups are, because you have Cam Newton and Matt Ryan. Cam Newton going against New England, the worst defense in the league, and Buffalo for Matt Ryan, who arguably might be one of the best defenses in the league. And that's a 20-point switch. Cam Newton outscores Matt Ryan by 20 points, and it's a 9-point win. Which 9-point, like I said, was our closest one of the week. We didn't have a game that was within 10 points besides this one. We've had a lot of blowouts, so it was good to see at least one close game. And if Jovan gets anything from the bottom half of his lineup, his studs showed up.
Or even more from Ryan.
Yeah,
you would expect more from Ryan, and that could have gave him the win.
You lose Julio Jones and Mohamed Sanu. He didn't really have any weapons the second half. We saw Taylor Gabriel have a 0. I don't know if he got taken out of the game or he just didn't get involved in the game even after they left. So, Jovan's in a tough spot too, because he's one of those guys who he's sitting at 1-3, but other than this week, he's been in games. He has a decent amount of points. He hasn't hit his projection, but it's not like he's been putting up duds. So this was kind of his first week that his team that didn't show up, and it was good timing for Alex that it didn't, because Alex was able and much needed to get that win.
Yeah, mean, over on Javon's side, I mean, he's got a great 1-2 punch and Hyde and Fournette being that.
Running backs on a bad team, though. Those are like the ones where it's like, if they don't get into the end zone and they don't get a bulk of their yards in the first half, game script's gonna lead them to Hoyer and Bortles having to throw the ball at the end of the game, and you're not getting your full value. So it's tough to have it. He has major talent with AJ Hyde and Fournette.
Yep. And then, so he rolled out J.J. Nelson, which I now believe J.J. is going to be becoming more obsolete. You got Jerron Brown becoming, I feel like, the better receiver there. And then John Brown coming back now off of his injury, which is going to be taking J.J. Nelson.
And I've noticed that Carson Palmer is like, I don't know if it's finally like hit him, but just do what every other quarterback in Arizona has done and just lean on Larry.
Yeah, well, leaning on Larry, but also like the leaning on Jerron a little bit more. Because I always see like John Brown and J.J. Nelson, and they're more of your smaller stature speed guys. But I was watching the game on Monday night, and I looked at Jerron Brown. He's huge. He's a big target. So you want to lean on Larry, but you finally have a guy who's a large target that can catch the ball. And then Jerron Brown, he seemed like he got a lot more targets. J.J. Nelson's going to be becoming more obsolete.
Oh, and did we possibly had a game won by a kicker? 9-point difference between kickers. Hauschka had a big day, 14 points. And Crosby had a down day of 5, so 9 points swinging in kickers. Could have been anything. I pinned it on that quarterback matchup. It's why you ride good quarterback matchups, man. Cam Newton was dud after dud, but got to play New England. So a good win for DX on the board. Javon's going to go ahead and push him down to 10th and they're both 1 and 3. So Javon in 10th, Alex in 12th. Does that finish up our matchups for the day, man?
That does,
finish up our matchups. Let's get right into our duds and our jabronis and phonies. First off, at quarterback, scoring 10.4, 242 yards, only 1 TD, and throwing in 2 picks. Man, Matt Ryan.
Just talking about him on Javon's team.
Yep, Matt Ryan.
Yep. Our second jabroni was Matthew Stafford. It seemed like the game script went straight to the ground. Abdullah had a big day. Stafford just 209 yards. And that was it. No picks, no TDs.
Marshawn Lynch, get used to it. I think that's what we're going to see, man. 12 yards, 1.2 points. Raiders offense is done. You could go ahead and can it.
All right, and then one of our studs of last week, Chris Thompson on the dud list. He's a jabroni this week with only 0.9 points. He had 26 total yards and a fumble, which you know if you fumble on the Redskins, Jay Gruden will never forgive you.
1.1 points, Demaryius Thomas, 11 yards. We almost just put him and Sanders in here together as a group like we did Cooper and Crabtree last week, but they actually scored 3 times as many points as Cooper and Crabtree did last week. So we're just going to throw Thomas on there with 11 yards against a bad Raider team.
And I promise this will be the last week with Cooper, even if he duds again.
Yeah, because
he's tired of putting him on here.
In that, and because he's not going to be.
He's not gonna play.
I don't believe Kevin will be dumb enough to play him next week. So
might not have a choice.
You have choices over Cooper.
All right.
Let's go ahead and get to our studs, man. Our king of the rings for the week. Let's go ahead and start off with our rookie quarterback, Deshaun Watson, man. 3.72. 283 yards, 5 total touchdowns. He's played nothing but, bottom defenses in the league. So let's see how he fares when he starts playing against some better defenses.
Cam Newton finally showed up against New England. 34.04 points. He got 360 total yards and 4 total TDs. He added 1 on the ground. And same thing. Let's see if he can do it against a real defense instead of just New England. He had his chance versus New Orleans, so I'm still a little skeptical on Newton.
But I'd say both these quarterbacks, I don't think will be. I mean, no, I don't think either of these guys. I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now, neither of them will be on the King of the Ring list again for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Le'Veon Bell, 30.6 points.
Take.
40.
Hot take.
I don't think either of them will be on the King of the Ring at the end of the season. Okay. So Le'Veon Bell, 30.6 points on 40 touches, 186 total yards, and 2 TDs. Le'Veon's back just controlling the game. Antonio Brown could throw as many Gatorade coolers as he wants. Pittsburgh game script that led to Le'Veon Bell, man.
Yeah, it was away Bell, away Ben Roethlisberger, so it's going to go Bell way every time. And Todd Gurley on the King of the Ring, I believe again.
This is again.
215 total yards, 2 TDs. Like I said earlier, 27.5 points. He's killing it right now, but let's see what happens when they start playing some better defenses.
And then from Jabroni and Phony back to the King of the Ring. This guy's flip-flopping weeks. Travis Kelce, 111 yards and 1 TD. Actually led all wide receivers and tight ends outside Jordy Nelson. I guess Jordy Nelson we forgot about because he played Thursday night. He did have 19.5 points.
Oh, yeah, I did forget about that.
So we didn't
but it was overall still a down week for the wide receivers.
Yeah.
And then that leads me to DeAndre Hopkins to pair with Deshaun Watson. 107 yards and a TD, which is what you always ask for in a wide receiver. 100 yards and a TD is definitely good enough. But down week for a wide receiver, but that rounds off our Kings of the Ring.
All right, man. So those are the players and players of the week right there. Let's get right into next week's matchups. Another bottom of the barrel matchup right now at the moment. Heart Foundation and Banger's swell team. Can Banger get his first win, or can Cody kind of start a win streak, push him back to get to 500 pace? Next up, we got my team, SmackDown Hotel versus Hulkamania. Drew's been running that 3-game win streak. I'm on a 2-game losing streak. I think this is going to be a really good matchup. I'm kind of interested to see how that one goes.
And next one, you got X-Blades versus Stunner Factory. I like this matchup. You got 6 versus 4th, 2-2 versus 3-1. Both middle of the road teams, middle of in the playoff race. It's going to be one of the best matchups of the week.
Jabroni Drive and Heartbreak Kids. Johnny's looking to extend himself to 5-0. Jabroni Drive looking to get his second win and not fall into that 1-4 hole. He's looking for some luck because this week he's going up against a tough team, man. Tough team.
Next we got Ren Dog versus NWO. Even though he's 3-1, I hate to say the fakest 3-1 team, but he's got the lowest amount
he's
of
the
scores
fakest team
in
our league right now.
So even though you're 0-4, Jaime, it would be the team that I think you can take.
Yeah,
down.
This would be the time for Jaime to get his first win team and expose Renee, expose him. And then coming up, we have our matchup of the week, Nation and Domination at 2-2 in 8th place, looking to give Vinny his first loss. And I don't know about you, but I'm definitely pulling for Manny this week. I'm done seeing these undefeated teams. I'm not undefeated. You shouldn't be undefeated. So Manny, pull it out, man. I hope you take out Vinny this week.
And our last matchup, Legion of Doom sitting in 9th place versus DX, another little bottom of the barrel, but Legion of Doom right on the cusp of playoff race, and then DX trying to get back into it just like me.
Yeah, all right, guys. Hope you enjoyed. That was the Week 4 wrap-up. All transactions went through. We did have one trade this week. Game start tonight. It's Thursday night. So good luck, guys, and have a good week. See ya.
See ya.